This one, because this came in yesterday. The guy doesn't like gold hardware. He wants it switched over to chrome. You know, when you're handling a guitar like this, a $5,000 guitar in mint condition, I mean, there isn't a breath mark on this thing. We have sold lots of tech decks around the world to collectors that just want to do little jobs like swapping out a pickup or changing a bit of hardware. It doesn't take much to put a dent or a scratch or the guitar slips. There's just a million case scenarios where a mint guitar comes back and it's not quite mint anymore because of the way it was handled or mishandled. Pretty well takes care of the gold to chrome swap over. Now the customer's going to swap out the adjustable pole pieces. They're still gold. The chrome covers are on. There's a couple of screws here and there that got to be changed. And the pickup adjustment screws will also be swapped over to chrome. This one screw, so we'll switch that over to chrome as well. Original gold hardware is all kept together. The customer can take that with them, just in case someone wants to switch it back to gold, maybe sometime in the future. He'll have the original parts. Right, this Les Paul Custom is pretty well swapped out. I've got a couple more pieces to swap over. So I need to change this input jack plate as well to chrome. And even the little bracket for the pick guard. I actually think it looks kind of cool in chrome. And once again, you know, you got a mint guitar that doesn't have so much as a breath mark on it. Man, it's kid gloves time. The other thing about the Tech Deck and its design is it elevates the guitar way up off the bench. The guitar doesn't get a chance to get anywhere near that stuff. It's elevated up out of the way. We will be putting a compensated nut on this. You can see that the D string actually and the A string have a little bit of filler in, so they didn't quite get this one right. That will be very carefully removed. Once again, we'll cover our tracks. When we're all done, it'll look like it was never touched. And this is how I set up for doing any type of electronic work. The waist of the Les Paul tucks in between the padded leather rails. I'm swapping out the switch as he wants to go to chrome on that as well. Yeah, I like to bring it right up to kind of chest level. I stand up straight and do my work. I'm not killing my back, leaning over doing electronics. But most importantly, the instrument's held super safe. I can relax. We want to reduce the whoops factor to 0. And that's exactly what we do. I've stood back and just kind of smiled and shook my head for the last couple of decades and watched the industry go around in circles, chasing its tail. So this was supposed to have been leveled by one of these CNC fret dressing machines. They did a pretty good job, but you know something? They missed a spot. And I'm going to take care of that with the Tech Deck. I watched my level 1 students nail it the first time through. You know, I was going to clean up before this shot. I thought, no, I'm not going to clean up. You know why? Because this is total reality check. At any given time, you know, I've got multiple tools on the bench. I've got, you know, end cutters and Japanese saws and various files and string winders and tape and the replacement parts boxes and chisels. And I wanted to show this because, you know something? I never worry for a second about scratching a guitar. It's up on a padded pedestal, completely separated from any of the cluster bomb of tools that basically piles up on the bench as I'm getting the job done. Further justification for having a dedicated multi-adjustable workstation that's padded and elevates the instrument away from all the danger on the bench. A couple of things I want to point out. One is, when you're switching pickup covers, we went from gold to chrome, you have to keep in mind that the pole spacing on these covers is not the same. So they're not interchangeable. The pickup pole spacing for the bridge is 2.05 thou. The center-to-center pole spacing for the neck cover is 1.960. So they're not the same. You know, there's a dedicated cover for each pickup. Just keep that in mind if you're ever doing it. Next tip. This replacement bridge has no notches in it. This is how I do it. I put a piece of tape over each saddle. I get the strings lined up perfectly over the pole pieces, so I've kind of centered that nut side to side so the alignment of the strings is perfect right down to the focal point on the saddles. I've spread those strings across the bridge. It lines up with the pole pieces. Having that piece of tape on there makes it much easier to score that little nick in the saddle that you need for the strings. If you don't have that, your file is going to kind of skate across there. And the other reason that you want those pieces of tape on there is you can take a pencil and you can mark both sides of the string, so that when you do finally get around to picking up the file to score those notches, you know you're dead on center.